Okay. Okay, we will call this meeting to order of the Atchison City Commission on Monday, November 6, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, Tina, do you want to do roll call?
Yes, thank you. Mayor Moody,
Present.
Vice Mayor Bartlett,
Present.
Commissioner Young,
Present.
Commissioner Greenlee, Commissioner Wilcox.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay. We are going to jump right into the Junior Fire Marshal Program Awards presented by Chief Weiser.
We've got a lot of people here tonight. I'm going to start off by announcing the assistant fire chiefs. If any of you are here, can you stand up? Just the assistants. Just one of you? What's your name? What's your first name? Okay, Cruz.
Pat, this one, young man in the back.
Oh, you want to come up here? Chase Finnegan? Okay, and it was Cruz. All right, what's your last name? Okay. These two are the assistant fire chiefs from their classes. And we'll have you guys just hang out for a little bit. We'll go through the fire chiefs, and then we'll take a picture with all you guys together, okay? All right. Thank you, guys. All right, from Atchison Elementary School, the first fire chief we have listed here is Lillian Julo. All right, Lily, you just want to stand right here for a second? I'll have you read these off for me, okay? And the other one is Benson Cruz. All right, also from Atchison Elementary, Shaylin Himmerlich. All right, Shaylin. And Miles Rickey. Miles out there. Crowd up here, Miles. Nathan Lowe. That's right here. Okay. Carson Leffert. Marnie Cook. All right. Next is from St. Benedict. We have Anna Burris. Maria Spouse. And Gwen Arnold.
Mason.
Oh, I missed right by it. Just see two fire chiefs there. Mason Hammersmith. All right. Now from Trinity Lutheran, got Courtney Clowers. And Courtney Robinson. Yep. And Lillian Hoffman. Okay, that's everybody. Can you guys all come in here and we'll get a photo of you guys? Just come up on the middle here. Walk around.
Don't be embarrassed.
All right, that'll work.
We need to stand. Do you want us Good job, guys. Good job. Love that. Okay. Thank you, Chief Weiser. We will move on to the LKM 2023 City Service Awards presented by Amy Finch. Holy cow.
I'm going to let one crowd clear out, and then I think we've got some employees in the hall we can invite in a little close. All right, Tina's rounding up the crowd. While our employees are coming in, I do want to say that this year, the league is recognizing 13 of our employees for years of service, and that is a combined number of 255 years that the 13 employees that will be called out tonight represent as service to our city. I think that's really awesome. Something big to celebrate. Right? Okay, I think we're ready. First, we have Chief Michael Wilson with 45 years, and if you will come get your certificate and then line up like the junior fire marshals so we can get your picture. Okay, the next three recipients are 25 years, William Andre. Okay, here. John Rasmussen. No, didn't want to join us today, okay. Michael Wawasek.
Mike's gone too? No.
Joshua Garrison, this starts our 20 years. 20 years for Ralph Schumann. 20 years, Paul Williams. All right, the next three employees represent 15 years, David Downing. Garrett Loroff. No? Okay. And Mark Stevenson. Next three represent 10 years of service, Kyle Mason. No. Austin Surratt. And Ricky Weiss. And I think Chief Weiser's going to come snap your photo. Yeah, however you want to arrange them, Chief.
Well, we're hiding. No, we're hiding.
So thank you again for your
Thank
service to the
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we will open up our public forum. Anyone who would like to address the City Commission regarding items that are not on the agenda may do so at this time. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes and should give their name and address when addressing the commission. Hi.
Hello, well, I'm Carrie Sowers. I think I know all of you, but I just had a couple comments and a couple of suggestions, and maybe let's find a way to put our heads together First of all, I appreciate this town so much. This is my town. This is our town, and it is the most wonderful place in the world. And I love how this commission, how Mike Wilson, Chief, everybody cares for kids in this town so much. We just saw that today. It's so beautiful. And I love how in the past, and with any leader, we've always worked together to get things done. And Chief Mike has been the best thing ever to work with. And I appreciate all the work everybody's doing. I don't know if you're really aware, but we're having a few issues at ACCA with our families getting hit almost in the crosswalk and just a lot of things happening. And Chief's been so great. And we talked about one of the issues is a lot of my families were like whipping around to park, and that was causing a big problem. So I sent big red letters, everything home, and I feel like I have that stopped. But I'm just not sure. I can't promise, but I think I have it stopped. I sent it in red letters and was out there chewing them out when they did it again. And I feel like that issue is mainly resolved. But a couple weeks ago, we had a wonderful meeting with Jeremiah and Chris. And we mentioned that this is kind of like reoccurring about every 3 years. No matter what we do, about 3 years it does real good, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. And it's really super scary. The last few months especially, I don't know what's changed. I don't know. But I have parents that come in almost every day that are crossing a crosswalk, tapping on people's hoods. Because I don't know if they just don't see them. I don't know. But they come in and say, oh my gosh, I pulled my kid by the coat or whatever. And when Jeremiah and Chris had came, they said that they too noticed about every 3 years this is kind of a reoccurring thing. And I just want us to really put our heads together. I want to be as helpful as I can. I want to do whatever I can to make that a really safe area for all my families and all, whoever uses that. And some of my parents had came and got together and were like, maybe this is some stuff we can do. And I have a list of things that maybe, if we could put our heads together, add a flashing light to the signs, install a push-button flashing light like MGP has. They said something about crossing arms, that like crossing arms would go down when the parents were walking across, and I'm like, that's genius, but I'm sure that's so expensive. I don't know, but it would be awesome. Make a four-way stop. There's several things that they suggested that maybe we could put our heads together, but I appreciate everything that's been done, and I'm definitely not griping. I just want to make a safe transition in the morning. And we love the diagonal parking. That's been a godsend to us because we can park so many more cars out there. But I think cars go around them and get in the crosswalk before they really realize. So I don't know. What, do you have any you'd like?
Cautious.
And so I just,
And I think a lot of it.
right. I even thought what about a stop sign right there? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
right
just,
at the crosswalk.
but
Like they have.
We can definitely take some of those ideas and talk about them at our next staff meeting, and then maybe bring some thoughts, comments, recommendations back to you.
Okay.
If that
Yeah,
works
that would
for
be
you.
great.
Okay.
okay.
Is there speed bumps over there? Is there
No.
speed bumps at all? No.
There's no, and the reason we didn't do the
goes in,
speed
right?
bumps, see, we have this really awesome concrete things that we made about 3 years ago, and that slowed everybody down perfect. But if they put speed bumps, it makes the snow plows I think that was one of the issue was, because that's a main route. So,
I had mentioned doing it like inverted or it's kind of like Missouri, like they're slow people down.
Okay.
we're whatever, and I'm happy to be in on the conversation and help in any way I can. There's a little bit of money for safety that I could help pay for. I don't have a whole lot, but I've got some that we could definitely visit about if that would. But I am very grateful. I want everybody, you guys have been nothing but good to us. And gosh, I hate to even say anything, but it's so dangerous. It's frightening me. That's my biggest fear, really.
Chief Wilson, while we consider the options, are you staffed well enough that a car can sit there in the morning for 30 minutes?
Yes, and I think we're doing that, but there are hours. And what happens is we assign guys, did you see it?
Pretty much.
But then they get a call.
And they leave.
Or they're periodically trying to deter.
No,
From
and
7 to 5, you
it's
know.
really, and a lot of it, the high school kids, a lot. I yell at them. And I'm sure people see me crazy out there because they just come so fast, so.
Carrie, would you send Tina the list that you had?
Yes.
And then we'll make sure and have all of that when we visit at
Thank
staff
you.
meeting.
Okay,
Welcome.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, appreciate you. On, sweet baby girl.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission on non-agenda items? No? Okay. Hearing none, we'll close the public forum and move on to the consent agenda.
All right, consent agenda this afternoon includes approval of the minutes from the October 16th City Commission meeting, approval of occupational licenses for Atchison Elks Lodge, Atchison Golf Club at Bellevue, the Bunker at Bellevue, and VFW Post Number 1175, approval of new 2023 cereal malt beverage license for Shop Smart 5, and renewal for 2024 licenses for CVS Pharmacy and Walmart, and authorization for the city manager to execute a contract with Spark Lighting LLC in the amount of $38,756.40 for the installation of holiday decorations for the downtown area.
Okay. Is there any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, moving on to new business. First item is a public hearing for a CDBG Community Facility Sidewalk Project presented by Clinton McNamee.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything to present other than we just need to open
Open
the
the public hearing.
public hearing.
We'll open the public hearing at this time. Anyone would like to come forward? No? Okay, hearing none, we will close the public forum, the public hearing, and move on to item number 2, appointments to boards and commissions. We currently have 4 openings, 2 on the Design Review Committee, 1 on Economic Development, and 1 on Park and Forestry Board. We had 1 applicant for the Economic Development Advisory Group, Joseph Penning, to fill the 1 opening for a 3-year term. I would make a motion to appoint Joseph Penning to that seat if,
I'll make it. I'll second that.
okay? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none. Item number 3 is ordinance number 6696, the 928 North Fifth Street rezone request, presented by Phil Burke.
Good afternoon. Most of you probably recognize this, so I'm not going to go into great detail. 928 North Fifth, recommended to be rezoned from R1 to R2 by the Planning Commission, I believe in September. Petition was filed in that 14-day window, kicks us into a 3/4 vote. That absence, that's what's possible to move down the line to a few other different commission dates. So at the present time, Mr. Ostertag, single family permit out, construction is ongoing on the site. Family home time. I don't know much more. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions or comments that have not already been discussed? No? I know we were originally kind of tabling this until all 5 commissioners here, but I think if everyone's comfortable, the 4 of us are ready to vote on it. You're good? Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 6696, amending Article 1, zoning and subdivision regulations of the City of Atchison, Kansas, thereby rezoning 928 North Fifth Street as R2 to Family Residential District and revising the zoning map of the City of Atchison?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Oh, I'll second.
Okay. Tina, do you want to do a roll call vote?
Yeah. Vice Mayor Bartlett,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilcox,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Mayor Moody.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 4 is the automated gate installation at the Amelia Earhart Airport, presented by Clinton McNamee.
All right, so yes, this would be for the authorization of the contract to install an automated gate. Looks like a vehicular drive-through gate out at the airport. It's been a priority of the Airport Advisory Board for several years. I think we started talking about it in around 2016, something like that. Applied for it once or twice, kind of in a package of other improvements. And then this last time that we applied, it got approved as far as a KDOT grant award. The gate would be activated by either somebody going up and using the keypad, or we'd issue some remote controls for it to some regulars. It would replace the existing one, which is a chain link manual gate that stays pretty much open all throughout the day. And so the concern, or what we're trying to accomplish here with an automated gate, is that it would be closed unless opened to regulate the amount of I'll call it non-airport related traffic that might find its way out onto the airfield. KDOT awarded us a grant for their state fiscal year 24, which began this last July. It's an 85% state funded grant up to a max amount of $42,075. For this contract, the state local split would be $34,331 for the state, $6,058 for the city. It is included in our CIP with a budget of $53,000. There will be some smaller expenses such as electrical hookups and that sort of thing. We have to run some power outside the building to power the gate motor. We received only one bid. That was from Kansas Fencing. And so with that, I would request authorization to hire Kansas Fencing in the amount of $40,389 to install an automated gate at the Amelia Earhart Airport with an additional change order authority of $3,500.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Do we get a lot of odd traffic out there?
I wouldn't say it's a lot, but it's enough that our, pilots are taxiing in between hangars and things, and then all of a sudden, here comes somebody that has no business driving on an airport. It happens enough that it's raised concerns.
Okay.
Where's Kansas Fencing from?
I believe that group is either Lawrence or Topeka. I'd hate to guess off the top of my head. We've used them 3 or 4 times at least in the last 10 years. So,
Any other questions? No? Okay. Do I have a motion to authorize city staff to hire Kansas Fencing, Inc. to install an automated gate at the Amelia Earhart Airport in the amount of $40,389 with additional change order authority of $3,500.
So moved.
Okay, does I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none. Okay, Clinton, looks like you're number 5 as well, the airport runway project utility easement agreements.
So we have 2 utility easement agreements to look at tonight, in addition to a letter referring to one of those easements that I'm asking authorization to submit to the FAA. Discussions with the FAA prior to right now and prior to the submission of the report that I wrote for the packet, they indicated that the agreement with the Rural Water District number 5 is pretty much standard and okay, and they told us to focus on the gas pipeline. However, a subsequent conversation, they do have some, call them tweaks that they might want us to make with the Rural Water District. I don't think it'll change the essence of the agreement, but it's just little tweaks. But anyway, but I'll focus mostly on the gas pipeline. But so Magellan is the gas pipeline company. They have a pipeline going through a parcel that we purchased in recent years to do the runway project. So they had some pre-existing rights with this easement. In order for us to get FAA funding for this project, the FAA wants to see what they call subordination agreements with all these utilities. Magellan kind of had the stance of, we were here first, why would we subordinate our rights? No deal. The FAA is like, well, we're going to hold funding until you guys figure this thing out. So after a lot of back and forth between us and our consultant and the pipeline and the FAA, what we came up with was Magellan had proposed this easement coordination agreement. And at the time, the focus of it was the safety aspect, because at the time, that's what the FAA was really focusing in on. That we want to know, as the airport sponsor, who's working on our airport property, and so we can issue notices to airmen or whatever have to be. Maybe we have to shut down the runway because they're too close to it, that sort of thing. So Magellan proposed this agreement where it doesn't necessarily subordinate its rights, but it agrees to a notification process in which they would let the airport know in a certain amount of advance notice when they would be at a certain area of the airport. So the FAA said ultimately that that's something they can work with as long as the city acknowledges that, because it's not a true subordination agreement, and that if there are pipeline activities in the future that disrupt or damage some part of the airport, such as the runway or the parallel taxiway maybe in the future, that it would ultimately be the city's responsibility to figure out how to repair that if the pipeline company does not. Because the FAA may not help us fund that. I think their stance would be, we told you so in the beginning to get the subordination, but we weren't able to reach that deal. So the scenario is that the pipeline crosses under what would be the new runway. Right now, it's probably 4, 5, 6 feet deep. It's in a valley. We're going to put 30 feet of fill on top of it and then build a runway. The part of this project is to replace that portion of pipeline with a new, thicker walled pipe to avoid, I don't say avoid, but to minimize future issues. And the FAA's concern there is if Magellan ever wanted to dig that up, that they'd be excavating 30 to 40 feet of fill material, replace this pipe, cover it up with a few feet, walk away, and we've got a giant canyon going through our runway. I've had discussions with Magellan, and they said that is not within their ability to even do something like that, that they would do directional drilling or boring to put in a new line if it ever became a necessary thing. Just to be cautious, we looked into what it would theoretically cost in the worst case scenario, and it was around 300, I think it was 300 to 400,000, depending on exactly how we try to do that. I think we're all in the agreement that it's a very low probability. That's just we looked into insurance specifically for that and found that no one provides such insurance for that scenario. However, with the company saying that they wouldn't even go that route, it'd be too hard and expensive for them, that they would do boring, with the FAA being okay with this exception. Staff recommendation that we need to move forward with it as we're proposing, or else the project is stalled indefinitely. I don't think the funding will sit there indefinitely for us. So, I mean, that's pretty much essentially the gist there of that. It's I don't know. It's a very convoluted process that we've been battling for quite a long time, but if you have any questions, I'll try to do my best to clear it up.
Is there any questions?
Yeah, I question the whole thing.
It's too late.
I mean, if we backed up 3 years, would we even be doing this? Knowing what we know today. I mean, I'm quite, who's going to use that airport? That's what I don't know who uses it. I don't know what its increased use is going to be. I have no idea.
I think we would definitely, I can't speak for the commission, but it's, I'm not exactly sure when your terms began, but I don't think anything has changed that I'm aware of. It's been a definite learning process every step of the way, but
Well, early on, excuse me, early on, I thought that MGP would be a primary user and have increased usage of the airport. But with their recent change of plans, who are going to be the users of the airport?
there's the existing users, and then there would be the potential for increased corporate activity out there. Who specifically that is, do we have agreements in place with anybody? No. But that would be beyond the safety, there's a safety element too. Our current runway is, you can't see from one end to the other, so there's a safety element to it. And it's length and width are no longer standard spec with the FAA.
Well, there's no going back. Unless you lose $8 million worth of funding. Forfeit because that's the next item coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, if this doesn't progress, I would say there is a high chance of losing our access to what has already been authorized for us. We've entered into grant agreements for all of it. It doesn't just stay there indefinitely till we're ready to move forward. And so if that were to happen, then we would go back to the beginning of the process where we're requesting funding. And so it's anybody's guess as to whether the FAA would, how serious they would take us the next time. So,
Mr. Campbell, are you familiar enough with this to know what our liability is with this runway pipe issue, 400,000?
What kind of liability?
Well,
We break it while we're building the runway, or?
well, there's that. There's the other thing that's something that happens to it after the runway's built. Something happens to the pipe, and then that's where the city's liability would come in with this other agreement.
there's a lot of, are we talking about 5 minutes after we build the runway, or are we talking about 30 years from now? The FAA, they don't have a schedule for this stuff, but let's say they put a 20-year life expectancy on the runway. And if we were to do something 5 years into that where the runway was unusable, they might come back to the city looking for that funding back. If it happened 20, past the service life of the runway, we might have a whole nother scenario here. I think the point is that, we're replacing the gas pipeline with a heavier duty material, and it'll be brand new. gas pipeline, they have a 50-foot wide easement. That's what they can go trench out if they wanted to. I don't know how they would feasibly trench 30 to 40 feet deep with a 50-foot wide easement, because you need to bench it out to make it usable. So I'm pretty confident that if they needed to replace that they would do what they said, and they would do a directional drilling job. And the FAA, depending on, sometimes it just depends on who's still on staff when this stuff happened.
Sure.
Because we've experienced that just as we're going through this. This project has been taking so long that we've had turnover at the FAA, and whereas something was okay with the guy in 2010, the new guy comes in, catches something that the guy before him didn't catch, and now all of a sudden the game changes a little bit. And so I couldn't even begin to tell you what that landscape might look like in 5, 10, 15 years. If you notice, the letter acknowledges it. It doesn't necessarily say, I use language like may. This may happen. This, and the FAA, I've already had them review that letter. They were okay with the way it was written. I wish I had a.
So the FAA is okay with the city of Atchison rolling the dice on nothing going wrong with the pipe, the new pipe that would be put in at potentially the city's expense at some point, if ever.
The FAA is okay with it as long as the runway is, if the runway is affected, that it's restored in a timely manner, and that the city acknowledges that the FAA probably is not going to help us with funding that repair if Magellan doesn't take care of it. Whereas if we had a subordination agreement in place, you know, and Magellan said, hey, we need to do something with that pipeline, we'd be like, well, you can't do anything unless you basically pledge that you're going to put it back the way it was. And so that's where the subordination agreement's nice.
And they don't want to do that.
They don't want to subordinate. The other option is possibly, although I have no idea what chances we would have, would be some sort of more forceful approach, take control of that. That would extend the project out as long as they can keep it.
Keep the ball bouncing.
Yeah. And
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't mean to.
there is another small, it's a glimmer of hope I have. It depends on a lot of timing to fall into place, but we submitted an earmark request to both the Congress and the Senate. And the last I knew, it made it out of a committee, and it's still going. I just emailed one of them last week or the week before, and they said it's still active, going through the appropriations processes. But the language in it covers utility modifications and relocations. Probably the most optimistic point we would know this, the outcome of this would be December. But, you know, as we've all been watching, you know, the coverage of that stuff, you know, it doesn't necessarily always go smoothly at that level. And so I can't count on that. But if it does come through, and if it comes through at a time where we haven't already crossed some point of no return with this plan, we can switch gears and have the funding to reroute the pipeline to follow the same route that the water line is going to be routed around the end of the runway. At that point, the FAA is definitely not as concerned about not getting a true subordination agreement because there's no infrastructure on top of it. I think I can speak for the city, is that would be the ideal route. The pipeline company would rather be rerouted than have their stuff 40 feet underneath of a runway, and the FAA would certainly rather not have a utility underneath the runway.
You have any idea what that price tag is?
It would add another 1.4 million to the project, and the FAA says they're tapped out, so we need this earmark to come through to be able to do that. But like I said, it has to the stars have to align, and waiting for that outcome, again, I feel like it might jeopardize the project, so I think we proceed with call it Plan A, and hope that Plan B materializes at the right time.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Do I have a motion to authorize city staff to execute the proposed airport easement agreements with Magellan Gas Pipeline and Rural Water District Number 5, in addition to submitting a letter to the FFA acknowledging that federal funding for restoration costs resulting from pipeline activities would not be available in the future?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none. Okay. Item number 6 is the airport runway construction contract.
All right, so back in July, the City Commission authorized the recommendation of award to IDECR Incorporated for the construction of the new runway out at the Amelia Earhart Airport. Since then, the construction's kind of been on pause because of those utility easement agreements that we just talked about. As mentioned earlier, well, I don't know if I did mention that. The overall project's $9.6 million, so that's this construction contract with IDECR plus soon to be in the future agreements with Rural Water District 5 and Magellan for the development agreements for these utility relocations and modifications, all of which is 90% funded by the FAA at this point. So the whole project is 9.6. We received 6 bids for the actual main construction. They range from about $8 million to $11.1 million. IDECR was the one that came in at 8. They were the lowest qualified bid. This is included in the CIP, and right now it assumes no additional grant funding on top of the 90% federal funding. However, we did submit a grant application to KDOT last month to fund half of our local match. We usually hear about those in January, February. If that's the case, the local match is 10%, so that's $960,000. We've got about a third of that already covered with private donations, and if we get half of the local match granted, that'll be a $480,000 grant from KDOT. So I'm hopeful that we get that. Then they've just had a turnover at the top. KDOT Aviation, the director, they're searching for a new one right now, and I don't know that that'll have any impact on this project or not. It's just something to note. Still, even though we're a month and a half behind already on the project, we're still scheduled to get it done in 2024 by late fall. The airport will, in terms of aviation operations, will be effectively closed next year for most of the year. Like I said, completion in late fall is still on the table. And with that, I just request authorization to hire IDECR Incorporated for the construction of runway 927 at the Amelia Earhart Airport in the amount of $8,017,887.90.
Any questions?
Spend that money, girl. So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none. Okay, and last item is the small water mains replacement, the design services.
Anticlimactic, I think, now. It's a small one. The proposed contract is for survey, design, and bid administration services for the next round of water main replacements. The basic premise of that program is to design 1 year, build the next, and then alternate back and forth. We budget $50,000 1 year for design, $500,000 for the construction, and alternate back and forth. So this round, we're focusing on Bellevue Drive, Mound Drive, the 1400 block alley between Commercial and Kansas, and the 800 block of North 12th Street. These are areas where main breaks have been pretty common in recent years, so we're trying to target that. That's the same thing we did this last year. Picked out our most problematic areas and replaced them. So After going through a qualifications-based selection process, we negotiated with Snyder and Associates to reach a proposal that was closer to the $50,000 budget. Initially, it was quite a bit higher. We adjusted the scope of the construction contract and did some things, and we got it down a little closer to budget. Proposal is now $53,500. I think this is definitely something we're going to have to look at moving forward. I think with the exception of the initial design that we did 2 years ago, construction's been coming in higher and design has been coming in higher. So I think in subsequent funding or budget rounds, we'll need to account for that, either that or scale back what we're doing. Having said all that, I'm just asking authorization to hire Snyder and Associates to design the 2024 round of small water mains replacement in the amount of $53,500.
Are there any questions? No? Okay. Do I have a motion to authorize city staff to hire Snyder and Associates to provide the design services for the 2024 small water mains replacement project in the amount of $53,500? So moved. Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none. Okay. Thank you, Clinton. We will move on to communications.
All right, two things in your communications section. First being public notice from KDHE letting us know that Bradkin is applying for a permit for their wastewater. It is reissuing a permit for an existing facility, but because we do take some of their wastewater, we are one of the recipients of the notice. And you have an Atchison Housing Authority set of minutes from September 19th.
Okay. No informational items?
Nope.
No? Okay. Governing body comments. Commissioner Young?
Yes, just congratulations to our city employees for all of their fine work, and I was pleased to be able to see Chief Wilson be honored for his 45 years of service at the Kansas League of Municipalities, and that was absolutely wonderful. We're just very proud of your work, Chief, and all of our employees' work.
Commissioner Wilcox?
I'm looking forward to your 60th.
Not a chance.
Good luck to the Atchison High Redmond Friday night as they go into the next round of the playoffs. Hope we get a home win.
Vice Mayor Bartlett?
You stole my line, but I apologize for my absence. My new gig has kept me very busy. So thank you for commissioners for holding it down while I've been gone. Wonderful job to Chief and to Rick Weiss. I love when you guys go into the schools. I love when you guys make your presence known. It means a lot to those kids. They've been talking about it for quite some time, so thank you. And yeah, good luck to our Phoenix.
Okay. I guess the only thing that you all haven't covered is to just remind everyone to go out and vote tomorrow.
Yes, very important.
And with that, we will adjourn to a workshop.
Oh, no.
Do I need a motion? Sure. Go ahead.
We start your workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you
Can we get
can.
a motion and a...
Oh, sorry.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thanks, guys.
Do you want us in front?
You guys want in front of the sign?
Thank you for this.
What are you going to live?
Ready?